It was a happy and joyous day for me because I never experienced anything like that, and I left the country as a civilian before. I saw nothing but proud, dignified professional aviators who were all fellowshipping, entertaining, teaching the skill and art of aviation. I felt like I was experiencing something new for the first time, and I was. There was engagements and spirited competition, just like you saw out there today. But I had to reflect. I felt cheated. I felt cheated by myself. I felt cheated from my family circumstances from the past. I felt cheated by the system. I needed a lot of catching up to do. But now was the time for me to get ahead. At the same time, I was on cloud 9. I was in awe at the majestic and in some cases pimped out planes that were on display that day. I was impressed with the Black Pilots of America, their families, their guests, their auxiliary personnel. I always knew we had black pilots, but I never really saw them, maybe in dreams and stuff. But I was exposed to the Flying Buff extravaganza last Memorial Day, and it helped me become more aware of the presence that black pilots in America had and their strong commitment over the last 12 years to train the youth and to stimulate and to encourage and to give back in the form of scholarship and scholarship development. That exposure reminded me of the first time I saw professional African-American swimmers. Why do you say swimmers? I'm going to drop a bombshell on you all right now. This lack of exposure, these deprivations are hurting our future generations. These issues are serious ones, notable of attention. Let me put this into perspective for those who are kind of nodding off here. 60% of African-American children can't swim. I'll say it again, 60% of African-American children cannot swim. And there's a reason for that, okay? Now, according to a recent study, as opposed to 31% of European-American children, and that's not a great number either that can't swim, you have to ask yourself, what's going on here? There's a lack of exposure, and this is important. You say, well, why is it important? I don't need to swim to get ahead in life. I don't need to swim to get ahead. Don't sleep on me back there looking at the red tails in California. Y'all sleeping? Now we're talking about the whole country here. Okay. Because there's a lack of education, a lack of exposure. People put steroids on these urban myths. They reinforce these stereotypes. Well, that's a white person's sport, you know? That's like me sitting up here telling you that basketball is a black person's sport. That's a bunch of shenanigans because the last time I checked, basketball was invented by Dr. Naismith, who was a European American. Okay? So don't tell me that your sport is just for white people, your sport is just for black people. It makes no sense. And if you say that, you're reinforcing these stereotypes. Okay? So, historically, the opportunities were unequal. Of course, we know the historic and systemic bigotry and the issues with hair. I wrote a paper 2 years ago about this before the report came out, and black women were upset at me because I said, and I kind of pointed the finger, not totally at them, but we said, well, the reason why these boys are drowning in these city pools and they don't go to beaches is because the mothers can't swim. Why are you just picking on mothers, Mr. Davis? Because 70% of these African-American households are single-parent homes, and the overwhelming majority are ran by women who they'll go to the pool, but they won't get in. Okay? They'll go to the beaches, but they're not getting here. Okay? So there's an issue there with firms and things like that. I'm going to strike in the court with you. This is something serious. Okay? I have 8 sisters, and they're all non-swimmers. They cannot swim. And Atlantic City is 52 miles away. Okay? There's city pools. This is not 1958. This is 2000. There's no excuse for my nephews that can't swim. Okay? So this is why we have this alarming number of persons not being exposed and they're not getting ahead. Okay, so we have to expose our youth. We must reverse this trend. The BPA is not the only group of talented, smart, experienced, member-positive organizations with pilots. You have others that are not black. You have others that are doing the very same thing. The Negro Airmen Incorporated, which is the oldest black civilian aviation group in the world. The NAI have summer camps for youth that also engage in educational activities. The National Coalition of Federal Black Aviator Employees is another group that says one of their goals is to promote equal opportunity for African Americans, minorities, and women. The Organization of Black Airline Pilots have been around to promote, enhance, and advance individuals into aviation communities. The Bessie Coleman Foundation, the International Black Aeroscience Council, the United States Army of Black Aviation Association, the National Society of Black Engineers, and the Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated, and others are doing a stellar job living up to their creeds. In addition, a special recognition is in place for our illustrious HBCUs. And for those that don't know, an HBCU is a historically black college of what? University, okay? And their efforts to have aviation education a priority at their schools. Raise your hand if you went to an HBCU. Okay? Now raise your hand if you attended an HBCU. Some of y'all didn't graduate. Okay? Raise your hand if you went to school. Alright. But we won't hold it against you because you got some educated fools. Okay? I don't want you to sit here and think that you didn't go to school that you're not smart. I know a lot of people with no degrees are smarter than me. Okay? Let's get that straight. Of course, we won't hold it against you if you didn't go to HBCU. Education is the foundation to having an equal chance at doing well and getting ahead. Y'all getting weak on me now? Located at HBCUs and other minority schools with FAA-approved airway science curriculum include, but not limited to, the following: Tuskegee University, Texas Southern University, Hampton University, Florida Memorial College, Tennessee State University, Delaware State University, and others not listed. In my closing remarks, remember, some 50 years ago, well, I can document. Some 50 years ago, I can't remember, most of us, not all, but people of color, most of us, were not able to do things, of course, then that we're doing now. Or we probably weren't able to be in this establishment 50 years ago. Black aviators have set up the national tone for the maturation process, for the cultivation process of the modern civil rights movement / human rights revolution. Now it's up to black aviators and other aviators of other ethnicities of the last 30 years and today's pilots to set up future youth movements of change. We must expose them to the positive experiences and make it better. We must also have them to make changes in their lives so they can get ahead. Because we all can't play professional sports, but we can all learn the crafts of aviation and teach what we learn to the underserved, to the at-risk youth, to the deprived, to the aeronautically challenged, to the misinformed, and to all groups and all cultures and ethnicities and ancestors. And this is what the Black Pilots of America are doing. Remember, by helping them get ahead, we are also getting ahead.